Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. When Donald Trump was out there campaigning, he said he would get this country out of debt. Even after the country was declared insolvent and he was the sitting president and still is, he said they would get us out of debt. And the total opposite happened. When he came into office, the country was about $34 trillion in debt. The country is now $40 trillion in debt. And of course, a lot of people are blaming Donald Trump for his outrageous spending because we know he started that ballroom, which is halted by the courts, by the way. And he's trying to get permission and more money to continue with his ballroom slash bunker. A 30,000-foot bunker. I don't know why anybody would need a bunker that big, but he must be planning on putting his whole family down there, grandkids and all. So, anyway, a lot of people feel the ballroom was wasteful spending, and I definitely agree with that. And, let's face it, y'all, when you go back and look at European history, every time these folks tried to start up a country, it would always fall in 250 years. We are at the 250-year mark. They just celebrated the 250th year of America on July 4th. And everything is definitely falling apart. It is no doubt about it. Not only do we see it here in this country, people see it all over the globe. In fact, Donald Trump tried to go out in the media and threaten Iran, and yesterday he threatened Oman. And Iran came out and really pushed this in Donald Trump's face. He said, yeah, why is America $40 trillion in debt? And they're right. Think about it. People get up in this country and go to work. Even a lot of non working people and business owners are paying taxes. It's a lot of money being collected through taxes, right? And we've been paying taxes for a very long time in this country. It makes no sense that the country is insolvent unless these politicians, that's why they don't want to leave office. And many of them will sit there until they literally dry up and die and won't leave because they are taking all the money. They're robbing the place blind. There's a reason why these people don't want to leave these positions and stay, literally stay until the day they pass on. So, and you see Donald Trump is building that bunker because when 2029 comes, he's not going to leave, y'all. He's going to go down in that bunker and refuse to leave. That's what he's going to do. He's not building that bunker because, it's for a special purpose. No, it's to keep him in office. If he can't run, he's going to force it. He's going to refuse to leave. Okay. And that's why he's going to have his own hospital underground, too, to keep his evil ass alive. So it really don't make any sense. But these folks can't get a country past 250 years, y'all. And we see America's falling apart and it's going to continue to fall. You know, they got so much pride and so proud of themselves. But one thing they can't do is admit they cannot and are not capable of running a country. There are countries over in Europe that have collapsed. Greece, Italy, okay, quite a few of their countries, especially in the Eastern Europe, part over there, a lot of those countries have financially collapsed. So they're not as up to par as they want us all to believe. They want us all to believe they are capable, smart, and the best people to run everything. And that is completely false. And it's always been completely false. But see, now all of your F ups are out here for the whole world to see. See, you were concealing it for a while. Y'all were failing, but you were hiding it. Now it's out here for everyone to see. So, y'all, let's get to it. Okay, so you still have a few days to grab your goat milk shampoo and goat milk leave-in conditioner on Etsy for 40% off. And there are still plenty in stock. So grab it up today and get that discount. All right, y'all. Now let's get to the video. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Yeah, and remember the tariffs were supposed to bring America all kinds of money. America has lost money and lost countries that used to buy U.S. goods since Donald Trump been in office. This country has not made anything off of those tariffs. Thank you for the ones.
We're going to pay off debt. Because remember, we have $34 trillion in debt. We've got to pay it off. We're going to pay down debt. We're going to reduce the hell out of the debt. We're going to pay off debt. The $35 trillion in debt, we're going to pay it off. We're going to get it done fast, too. Pay off debt. Pay off a lot of the debt, and we have plenty of it. We'll start paying off debt. We want growth in our country. That's what's going to pay off our debt. We're going to give back a lot of money into the Treasury and pay down debt. We're going to work on national debt very strongly, by the way. We are going to grow to start paying down our debt. We have $35 trillion in national debt. We're all set to do it. We're going to make a lot of money. We're going to pay down debt. We're going to make so much money. We're going to pay off debt. We're going to pay off our debt. We're going to do things that you wouldn't believe. We're going to make our country so competitive.
The U.S. national debt hit $40 trillion. And you can actually see this is a live clock on the screen of the national debt. It is ticking up dollar by dollar as I speak. And you hear $40 trillion. You think, OK, that's big. But yes. How big? Yes. It is bigger than the largest economy in the world, which is the U.S. economy. We're roughly $33 trillion when it comes to GDP. But the thing is that the national debt has doubled since 2017. So this problem is becoming worse. And if you think about it, though, there's plenty of blame to go around because this has been a bipartisan problem.
It's bipartisan. Right? It sounds like a big number and it is a staggering number. But the real concern, of course, Kelly, is the trajectory, right? The trajectory is right now we're running huge deficits just in a relatively strong economy. And the interest on that $40 trillion is an insane amount.
Well, so who do we blame? There's always somebody that...
Right.
Yeah. Republicans shown any appetite to rein
Republicans were willing to do tax cuts that they had to borrow for. Democrats have increased spending. There has been wars. There has been COVID. There's been the interest rate. When you think about that $40 trillion, it is an accumulation over decades of the government spending more than it had and not being willing to cut. What does it mean for us at home?
Yes.
Your mortgage rates can go up and we could potentially default as a country, which there's plenty of people in the administration that are worried about that. You hear Besant working with Japan. I know we kind of hear these headlines where what does it mean? It's that they're worried about the debt.
You may have heard the news that the U.S. debt just hit, well, I guess you would call it a sobering milestone, $40 trillion.
Yeah, y'all. You know, this is record breaking. America has never been at $40 trillion in debt. It literally is record breaking and it's territory they've never been in. But they never really worked hard to drive debt down. Let's be for real. They never really tried hard to do that. And number two, Donald Trump has done nothing but spend since he's been in office. And remember, they wanted him and Pete Hegseth wanted $1 trillion for the Iran war. $1 trillion they were asking for. So they're not trying hard to drive debt down. They are driving it up, and they always been driving it up.
That's T for trillion, $40 trillion. I went to the website nationaldebtclock.org to see what that means exactly. Some mind-boggling numbers here. The debt per U.S. citizen is now $116,000. The debt for each U.S. taxpayer is more than $360,000. And look at how the debt to gross domestic product ratio has degraded over the past few decades. Past several decades, actually, 52% in 1960, climbing to 122% today. That's the percentage of our debt compared to our annual economic production. It's a gauge of the country's financial health, and it does not look good. A quick look at Washington State shows $102 billion owed according to the debt clock. That's more than $13,000 per citizen.
Have a look at this. National debt has hit, oh my God, look at that figure. It's almost as if they had it ready for me. $40 trillion. $40 trillion. It's more than doubled since the president's first inauguration less than a decade ago. Let's not be political about this. There's a chart showing whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, the figure has gone up, okay? And it's gone up also. It's not just about the absolute money. It's about the debt to GDP. And if I said to you, we're roughly double what we were at the big financial crisis in 2007.
You know what? Uptight 24, you ain't never lie. I need some of that debt money. No, we need our reparations. I don't give a damn about what their debt is. They did that to themselves. We are still due reparations. I don't care. Whatever you got in them bank accounts, and these bank vaults and everything, you need to give us our reparations. I don't care about the debt that you're in. That's your problem. Y'all caused that. We didn't cause, nobody in my community caused your debt problems. Y'all caused it yourself. If anything, chattel slavery gave you a lot of money and a lot of head start. And it just goes to show you, y'all squandered all that money. You did. You squandered all the money. That's why you're $40 trillion in debt. You had a surplus as long as we were working, our forefathers were working for free. You had a surplus for hundreds of years. You don't have that anymore because, number one, no matter how much y'all keep trying to tell us Donald Trump is a businessman, Donald Trump is a failed businessman. Number two, I used to, like I told y'all before in the past, I used to read the Wall Street Journal all the time at one point in my life. And these big mega corporations, damn near all of them out here are failing. Many of them have been failing for the last 20, 30 years. But they are still up and running as a company, as an organization. They are hemorrhaging money. Some of these companies are losing billions of dollars in a quarter, but they are still in business. See, they give you the illusion that they know how to run businesses, but they absolutely don't know how to run a business, y'all. Go out there and look at how many companies have lost billions and trillions of dollars. They lose a hemorrhage money, many of these corporations that are headed by these folks. They never knew how to run an organization. They just talk a good game and make you believe they know what they're doing and know how to do it. If you know what you're doing and everybody got high IQs up in here, there's no damn way you should be $40 trillion in debt. This is all y'all. This is all y'all. You can't put nothing, not 1 ounce of this on us. This is all you, all your politicians, your government, and all these people that are squandering money every single day in this country. Y'all give contracts to people with failed businesses. Y'all give grants to people with failed businesses. You do it all the time. You don't even ask questions. Company could be going down the drain and y'all will still give them millions in grants. It's unbelievable. But look at where that's gotten you. This, you know how bad this looked? You claim to be the best country having the biggest GDP on earth, and you can't even manage your money. I bet you there's many nations out here that ain't even close to having $40 trillion of debt, but this country got it.
2010, our debt to GDP in America now is double those levels, give or take. Now, more than a quarter of that $40 trillion is coming under the president, Mr. Trump's watch, exacerbated by his One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which the Financial Times says is set to push up debt by more than $4 trillion by 2034. So that swelling debt figure now means the government spends a record $1.37 trillion a year just servicing the interest on that debt. I just mentioned that. Now that's more than the budget for the Pentagon and is more than this year's outlay on Medicare. Anyone else? I'll do something in a minute. Earlier this month, a Reuters Ipsos poll found that Americans now see Democrats as better stewards of the economy than the Republicans for the first time in around about a decade.
So, the United States of America is $40 trillion in debt. So let me get this right. American workers work their ass off to get paid small amounts of money every 2 weeks, every week, every month, or whatever the case may be. They get paid a small amount of fucking money. And the government still take federal taxes out, state taxes out, and whatever the fuck else other taxes they got coming out, they be going to the motherfucking government. Y'all take federal and state taxes from everybody. So how the fuck are y'all $40 million? Nah, my bad. 40.
Okay. So y'all also, China is, when this news hit this morning, China started selling off U.S. debt, immediately started selling it off after hearing America has reached $40 trillion in debt. $40 trillion. They're selling off the U.S. debt they had. You know, people don't want to deal with the U.S. anymore, and they're not. They're not. Oh, and y'all, and ever since the announcement came out, let me just show you this briefly. We'll get back to the video. Okay. So ever since the news came out that America is 40 trillion in debt, the stock market has been down all day. It's been down all day. And you know, this ain't nothing but a scam anyway. It'll go down because we see it go down. The rich people will start hooping and hollering because they're losing money. Then everything suddenly goes in the green. And it's no real explanation for it to just jump from being in the deep red to going really green. You know, that's all. It's heavily manipulated. Heavily manipulated. Okay, let's go back to the video.
$40 trillion in fucking debt. That means the government they not doing what they supposed to be doing with our motherfucking tax money. They not doing what they fucking supposed to be doing with our tax money. Since they in fucking debt so fucking bad. but want to take money from the fucking U.S. citizens every chance they motherfucking get. But they ain't even handling our motherfucking money right. $40 trillion in debt is fucking ridiculous. But the president want to sit here and give out free money, want to build fucking ballrooms at the motherfucking White House and shit. Nah, bitch, put that money towards the motherfucking the debt, bitch. Put it towards the debt. You can't afford no fucking ballroom at the motherfucking White House, bitch. You had them folks fighting at the on the White House lawn for your.
I thought I heard him say on the campaign trail that he would lower our debt. Our debt is sitting at $40 trillion, by which 40% of it belongs to him. Make that make sense. I thought Republicans were supposed to be so budget ready and watching the budget and making sure we don't go over our debt. But it seems like Republicans have took an opposite stance and have just ballooned our deficit to $40 trillion. Now, who's going to pay for that? We are. We're paying higher interest this year on the national debt because of who? Him and them. Y'all better wisen up and make the right decisions in November, because it's going to take a while to pay this debt down. 40 trillion? Woo! Yeah, you could thank him for that.
The U.S. hit a new historic milestone that has financial experts worried this morning. The Treasury Department announced the federal debt has now reached $40 trillion. The federal debt has more than doubled in less than a decade, with about a third of the increase from the COVID-19 pandemic era. Both the Trump and Biden administrations borrowed heavily to finance emergency response programs and economic relief. Experts warn the kind of deficit spending lawmakers keep approving, which has made the debt balloon, could also lead to even more inflation.
So the Treasury just engaged in an emergency procedure. It's terrifying. It is. This old Texas Paul. Hope your coffee's as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. I really do. Look, I've been talking for a while now that we're going to see an AI correction, and we're seeing the global economy just choking to death. It is. It's Trump's policy, Trump's war, the energy prices, the tariffs, the trade wars, all of it has just been coming to a head. Asia is in trouble. They are dumping American debt to try to, their market's just pissed off $1 trillion. They did. The Treasury, our debt was exploding because the yield was just taking off like a rocket on our long-term balance, making borrowing even more expensive. So the Treasury engaged in an emergency move today. It's akin to when someone rolls over debt from one credit card to another. This is bad. This is really bad.
The national debt just hit a record high, 40 trillion, yes, with a T, dollars. The number staggering, and it arrived sooner than predicted. The debt roughly doubling in less than 10 years. So what does all this mean to you? CNN's Matt Egan is here to break it all down for us. I guess the big question is, how is this going to impact Americans? And not just now, but potentially for the long run.
Yeah, Sarah, I mean, $40 trillion. This is another grim milestone. This number, it's so hard to even wrap your head around. It's just such a big number. Let's look at the live tracker of the national debt. You see just over $40 trillion. Now, if you broke that down per person, per every single person in the United States, it's almost $120,000, just staggering. And when you look at this is a look at how fast it's growing, almost $5 million per minute, Sarah. So just since we started talking, we've added about $5 million to the national debt, $285 million per hour, and almost $7
billion a day. And again, when you look at what this means per person, talk about $117,000 per person in the United States. We look at the trend for the national debt going back to the start of the century. It was around $6 trillion in the year 2000. But look at this. It has just skyrocketed since then. Why? Because of government spending, because of tax cuts, because of war after war after war, because in 2008, right around here, you had a once-in-a-century financial crisis. And then in 2020, we had a once-in-a-century pandemic. You put it all together, and yes, you get $40 trillion.
Okay. Well, y'all, it's not going to get better. You know, I was looking at an article that said we're going to get more blackouts in America real soon. And some places may be out for an entire month. And I'm like, okay, why would we get more blackouts? I understand, you know, it's those damn data centers, y'all. It's those data centers. They said we can have up to 800 hours of blackouts coming in the near future. 800 hours of blackouts across this nation. So, yeah, I mean, do you think people that can't even handle the deficit is going to fix anything else? They can't fix nothing, y'all. Look, and you got the infrastructure in this country that needs to be fixed. Okay? It needs to desperately be fixed. A lot of these bridges that we travel on have been neglected for years. They do not do the proper maintenance on the roads and everything that should be done up in here and the bridges. So, y'all, us leading into the future with these same folks in charge, we in trouble. Okay, we're in trouble, y'all. $40 trillion. You know, I could pass on and come back 10 times, and I probably will never put myself in $40 trillion worth of debt. Wouldn't come close to it. But this is what rich people can do, y'all. They can put you in $40 trillion of debt. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your support. And I would like to thank Brooklyn 71881. Thank you for the 30 jewels, flowers. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you again, Brooklyn 71881, for the 2 jewels, 100. Thank you. And thank you again, Brooklyn 71881, for the 250 jewels, MVP. Thank you so much for your support. I deeply appreciate it. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Be on the lookout for my next live, and don't forget to pick up your hair products. Shalom, family.